Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Pahi Mam Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Rakshamam
Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Paima Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Rakshama
Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Pahi Mam
Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Jaya Saraswati Paima
Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Rakshamam
Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Shri Saraswati Rakshama
Jaya Guru Shiva Guru Hari Guru Ram Jagat Guru Param Guru Sat Guru Sham
Jaya Guru Shiva Guru Hari Guru Ram Jaya Guru Satguru
Om Mari Guru Advaita Guru Ananda Guru Om
Hari Guru Advaita Guru Ananda Guru
Chit Guru Chit Kana Guru Chinmaya Guru Om Om Mari Guru Advaita Guru Ananda Guru Om Chit Guru Chit Kana Guru Chinmaya Guru Om Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Satgurunathaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vishnudevanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Gurunathaya. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Anjaniya 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 Pahi Mam. Hanumanta 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 Rakshamam. Anjaniya 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 Pahi Mam. Hanumanta 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 Rakshamam. Dattatreya 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 Pahi Mam. Dattaguru 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 Rakshamam. Dattatreya 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 Pahi Mam. Dattaguru 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 Rakshamam. Shankaracharya 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 Pahi Mam. Advaita Guru Advaita Guru Advaita Guru Rakshamam. Shankaracharya 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 Pahi Mam. Advaita Guru Advaita Guru Advaita Guru Rakshamam. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Anandoham Anandoham Anandam Brahmananda. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura
Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura.
Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura
Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura.
Shankara Sambasada Shiva Shankara Sambasada Shiva Gangadhara Hara Kailasavasa Gangadhara Hara Kailasavasa Pahi Mam Parvati Ramana Pahi Mam Parvati Ramana Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura Shankara Sambasada Shiva Shankara Sambasada Shiva Gangadhara Hara Kailasavasa Gangadhara Hara Kailasavasa Pahi Mam Parvati Ramana Pahi Mam Parvati Ramana Shivaya 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 Namaha Shivaya 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 Namaha Shivaya 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 Namaha Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shambho Mahadeva Chandra Chura Shankara Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya.
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya.
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya.
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya.
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara,
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara.
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara,
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara.
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara,
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara.
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara,
Jaya Shiva Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara.
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya.
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya.
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya.
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya.
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya
Jaya Hanuman, Jaya Jaya Hanuman, Jaya.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, faith, freedom. Om Namah Shivaya. Good evening to all on this very auspicious inauguration day. And we are concluding our day with a few more thoughts on Vedanta based on a very little booklet written by Swami Shivananda, and it has the title Vedanta Jyoti. Vedanta Jyoti, and it is not really a book that is written as such from page to page. It is small meditative reflections of Swami Shivananda. I don't think we can really call them poems, but they are short, bite-sized meditations, all on the topic of Vedanta. And some of the chapters have very serious reflections, and other chapters there is a dose of humor, a dose of laughter included in those meditations. And being it Saturday evening, I thought maybe it is a nice idea to combine the deep philosophy of Vedanta with Swami Shivananda's masterly way of infusing a dose of joy and a dose of humor in those Vedantic reflections. So Vedanta Jyoti, the title itself is already almost like a poem, the light of Vedanta. Well, the light represents the truth. Light represents the real, the reality, the existence, because ultimately all that exists is light. Darkness has a non-existence, because darkness means, all it means is an absence of light. All that hatred means, it doesn't exist. It means an absence of love. And as soon as we press on the button of love, hatred is nowhere to be seen. As soon as we switch the light on, or we light the camphor lamp or the wick in the oil lamp, that dispels the darkness. So it is a non-entity, a non-existence. So it's a very beautiful topic, a beautiful title, Vedanta Jyoti. Because when we look at the light, there is no darkness. When we look at the sun, there is no darkness and we see no shadow. There is a shadow. When we look at the sun behind us, there is a shadow, but we don't see the darkness. We don't see that shadow. But if we go contrary to the light, we turn around and we don't look at the sun anymore, then we will see our own shadow, our own darkness. But the darkness does not come from the sun. The sun is not responsible. The sun is not creating darkness. It is the object that is in front of the sun that creates the darkness. And by us turning the opposite way, darkness is visible. But when we turn around again towards the light, no darkness can be seen. And it's a very beautiful image. No? Light is always a very beautiful symbol, because if we turn ourselves towards that light, then no darkness really will be seen. And there is this beautiful prayer, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya. Lead me from the darkness to the light. It's a very Vedantic expression, really. Let my life be a constant journey or a constant movement towards the light. Let me not forget it. that when I hold on to darkness, sometimes we can have that tendency, no? Contrary to what seems logical, that to what seems beneficial for our own life, contrary to what seems uplifting. For some mysterious reason, the human mind can easily, although it is crystal clear that light is better than darkness, it can have a bit of a morbid tendency to hold on to the darkness. But the prayer is tamasoma joitir gamaya, lead me away from the darkness towards the light. So, and when we live in that reality, of course, we forget so many, many times, but it is only human. We can only endeavor, we can only try. But when we endeavor and when we try to put it into our life, then slowly, gradually we see that more light does come. And it is a choice on our end each time to turn our back towards the darkness, to turn our back towards our own distress, our own confusion. It all exists. We cannot deny it. But if we are centered into that light, then we are blessed. So we read a few of those reflections of Swami Shivananda, and we start with a little bit the chapter which has a humorous element in it. And the first meditation, or the first poem, however you would like to call them, has the title Vedantic Passport. You need not apply for this to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Equip yourself with four. This refers to the four Vedantic means: viveka, vairagya, discrimination, detachment, the burning desire for liberation, mumukshutva, and shatsampat is the 6 virtues, all connected with tranquility of mind, balance. So equip yourself with 4, cultivate cosmic love, have equal vision, include and embrace all, serve all and love all, feel the oneness in all, have adaptability, tolerance, patience, forbearance, sincerity, and nobility, a fiery spirit of selfless service, and now you will get a Vedantic passport. And this passport will take you to Brahman, to Kailas, the abode of Lord Shiva, and to Vaikunta, the abode of Lord Vishnu. Shivananda says, put this Vedantic visa or passport in your pocket and roam about happily throughout the 14 worlds. Roam wherever you like. All will recognize and welcome you. All will adore you. Feel, I am the all. I am all in all. The whole world is your home. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is one family. Now we might see a similarity with the planet Earth passport that Swami Vishnudevananda created. Who knows if it was inspired on Swami Shivananda's Vedantic passport. And the Hindu, or the text, the last phrase, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family, comes out of one of the Upanishads, the Maha Upanishads. Well, I don't know anything about it, but that much I read. one home. The home represents for us safety, a protected place where we are a little bit fenced off in our home, no? Instead of creating one world, we create our own individual world in our respective homes. So it is a little area in the wider cosmic world that we believe belongs to us. And it is also the place where our heart rests, where our mind dwells. It's our small, intimate world where our domestic life and our individual life takes place. But then there is another message. Instead of the safety of our own home, Swami Shivananda says, and the scriptures apparently say, the whole world is your home, or the whole world is our family. And very often the world is not so much regarded as a safe place. We might be a little bit fearful for the world that surrounds us. If we look at the news, maybe that fear is further increased, as not at all a place where we can feel so safe and where everyone is belonging to one human family. And then we see a world with a lot of variety, infinite variety in cultures, in languages, in religions, in traditions. And we realize I live amidst all this intimate or infinite variety. But how can I, in all that variety, feel home? And feeling home in the Vedantic notion is being at home or being connected to the one. But that's never so easy, no? When there's a lot of variety, it becomes increasingly difficult to remain connected to ourself with a big S, or to the essence or the source behind it all. But the art of inner life, Swami Vishnudevananda had this beautiful little phrase that we all know so well, unity in diversity. And unity in diversity means one family. I don't know how it is in your family, but in most families, we do not necessarily all resemble. We might have very different backgrounds of thoughts, very different preferences in life, very different choices we make in life, but still there's always a bond. You can't deny it. There is a link. It's one family. But that's not only in the biological family, it goes so much further. And unless we practice that, of course, we fail again so many times. We say, everyone is my family, but can I still exclude a few of the family because I find it very difficult to embrace them? Well, we can only practice and include slowly, gradually, a little bit more into our love. But unless at least we practice that with our own limitations, peace and joy are never really known. It's the basic recipe for the opposite of peace, the opposite of the Vedantic realization of oneness. So that was the little meditation on the Vedantic passport. And then there's a Vedantic aeroplane. It's the next one. Increase the sattva by subduing rajas and tamas. Take sattvic food, study the Upanishads, meditate regularly on Brahman, then there will be an increase in sattva. You will have a pure mind. Vishaya kara vrittis will subside. That is the thoughts towards the senses and the sensual objects. So those will subside. and Brahmakara vritti will arise now. So the thoughts about the infinite or Brahman. This is a spiritual aeroplane of a Vedantic student. It is a marvelous aeroplane. It will make the aspirant soar very high to the realms of eternal bliss. Shivananda says, all Vedantic students take a flight in this wisdom plane and reach the abode of eternal peace. Shankara and Dattatreya traveled by this plane only. Why not you also? Start now. Hurry up, all friends. Well, our wisdom plane has taken off today. Your Vedantic studies of 9 months have been officially inaugurated this afternoon, and there's quite a few passengers on the flight. It is a well-filled flight. And the airplane, whenever you take a flight, we haven't taken it for a while, no? Maybe you have, but for us, it's a little while ago, almost years by now. But whenever you're in the plane, it's always fascinating because, as Swami Shivananda describes it, you soar high above. Well, we might not soar high above in a Vedantic realization by taking a plane, but what for sure always takes place is the realization how small this little life actually is. We are in no man's land in the plane. And when we study Vedanta, we're in no man's land, no? We feel very free, very much without boundaries. This is the very blessing that has come upon all of you to start your studies in the Vedantic Academy, because whenever we study, we are lifted up. Vishakara vritti, so many complex Sanskrit words, no? I'm sure you will come across quite a few in the months to come. But all it means is a mind we know too well. We might not know the Sanskrit term, but we know the reality of it all too well. The mind which thinks of sensual objects, whatever they are, there's many examples. I don't think we need to give them. But whenever we dwell upon them, the mind assumes the shape of that object, and it is rajas which fills our mind. And then there is the Brahmakara vritti. That is when the mind fills itself with sattva, with the light, with the purity of the knowledge. And that is when we think upon Brahman or upon or infinity. And then the mind takes the shape of the divine. And this is the blessing of Swadhyaya. 9 months of Swadhyaya, of study. And whatever happens all the days, apart from Wednesday, however much the mind might go back to those Vishakara vrittis, however much it will be in the reality of day-to-day life, we have to dwell upon the objects, and they are actually not a source of trouble. We can't blame them. They are innocent, but it is our connection with them, it is our identification with them, which is not so innocent. So in case they take over the objects, and that means the material consciousness, then whenever we study again, and this is the beauty, if we fully understand it or we half understand it, but whenever we focus on a study, on a Vedantic study or any of the yogic studies, all of a sudden we are far away, no? This is the blessing. This is the blessing. Many of you are teaching. This is our blessing when we teach, when we prepare for the satsangs, for the lectures. All of a sudden, we are fully in the topic. It's beautiful. And you chose for 9 months to study. So it's a Vedantic aeroplane. We might have time for just one more. And that has the title, Tap the Source. And also that slogan you might recognize. I don't know if it came about, Tap the Source, when the TTC refreshers came about, but a few years back, that slogan was introduced, Tap the Source, go to the basis, and Swami Shivananda also used this term. Believe in the self, meditate regularly, draw power from within, tap the source, dive deep into this source. Within you is a magazine of power. Within you is a fountain of bliss. Within you is an ocean of knowledge. Rejoice in thy own self. Swim in the river of joy. Float in the ocean of bliss. Drink the nectar of immortality and enjoy the spiritual wealth. Roam about happily. Shivananda says, O Ram, distribute this imperishable wealth of knowledge far and wide. Sing wherever you go. Satchitananda Svarupoham. Tap the source, going to the very root of it all. This afternoon, while you appeared one after the other on the screen, and while the mantras were chanted for you for an auspicious start of your course, it felt as if we were going right to the source. When you hear those ancient sounds, it is it felt like the root of it all. And on an individual level, tapping the source means maybe recognizing our own source. And our own source means our potential. We are not always connected to that source, but the potential is within us. And even though we might not always be connected to it, we might not soar always so high with the Vedantic aeroplane, but recognizing that we have that potential is already a very great blessing for our life. And apart from recognizing it, if we can try to tap into that source and utilize it, then it will go to a next level. And when we do not tap into that source, the source is an inner life, then it feels as if our life slowly ebbs away. It is there. We live that life. We can be very fortunate or very rich in that life, but we might not really recognize it because we're only blessed if we know we are blessed. We are only fortunate if we realize that we are fortunate. So by tapping that source, we can reconnect to that infinite source and live a life which is constructive. And all those studies, although a study is a study, of course, it needs to be put into practice, but it is such such a welcome support for living our life in a constructive way, in a progressive way, so that we move towards that light, that we grow. Believe in the self, says Swami Shivananda. Believe in the self and tap the source. It's pure optimism, no? Pure optimism. Believing and making up our mind that however many obstacles there are, that we will endeavor to continue to look at the light. And whenever we don't look at the light, whenever we catch ourselves, only human, no? We cannot only go upwards. It's just part of the process. But whenever we catch ourselves, we can turn ourselves to the light again. So spiritual wealth, imperishable wealth, spiritual wealth, says Swami Shivananda. Well, we're all very wealthy, all of us present here tonight. There's a tremendous spiritual wealth, nothing to be proud of, but for some reason there is the aspiration to study, and that is wealth, that is true richness in our life. It is wealth to be guided. We all, for one reason or another, connected to the masters and are open to their guidance. We are open to the guidance of the scriptures. You could do something else on Wednesday evening for 9 months, but the choice was to live in that spiritual wealth, a very unique choice and a unique blessing. Well, there is more, but that is the 3 we had time to look into this evening from the little booklet of Swami Shivananda Vedanta Jyoti. And then we conclude with the final prayers. Om Trayambakam yachamahi sugandhim pushtivadanam urvarkamiva bandhana mrityur mokshyam amritat. Om Trayambakam yachamahi sugandhim pushtivadanam urvarkamiva bandhanam mrityur mokshyam amritat. Om Trayambakam yachamahi sugandhim pushtivadanam urvarkamiva bandhanam mrityur mokshyam amritat. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Patrani Pashantu Ma Kachit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satkamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotir Kamaya, Mrityor Mamritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Pavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchitananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us be holy in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be on our lips, and let us abide in thee forever and ever. And then we stand up for the Arati, the light ceremony.
Vinayaka, Vigna Vinayaka, Shri Ganesha, Jai Jayarati, Subramanya,
Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venulola Papa
So we come to a conclusion for our official day of inauguration, and there is a well-deserved rest until tomorrow morning. So the starting time is the same as today. For all those in continental Europe, we have the blessing of 1 hour extra. The satsang starts at 7 o'clock. And of course, that means for those in the UK, it will be 6 in the morning. And then there will again be the class, the 2 language classes. So I think today there were several of the French speakers in the English class. Maybe that was a conscious choice. In case it was not a conscious choice, know that there are tomorrow morning, again, 2 classes. One class is English and the other class will be taught in French. And you should have received the links for both of them. So the class is at 8:30 until 10-ish. And then tomorrow at 12 noon, there will be a puja, the Saraswati puja, as was announced, with priest Yagneshwara Dikshit from Bangalore. And after the puja, your respective mentors will have all being well been in contact with you to announce the time for the first little get together with your mentors, which will be somewhere 1:15 or 1:30, and maybe the second one around 2. However, it was organized between your mentor and yourself. And then there is a break, and at 4 o'clock there is the class with Swami Shivadasananda, the fire of yoga. And at 8 o'clock there is the evening satsang. So wishing you all a very good rest, and we look forward to the continuation of the program tomorrow. Om Namah Shivaya to all of you. Om Om.